This will destroy him completely, father says, his face ashen as he stares at his phone. The FBI will have everything they need to prosecute. I shrug, gathering my presentation materials. Sounds like justice to me. Justice? Mother's voice rises to that familiar pitch I've heard countless times in my childhood. He's your brother, Eleanor. Was my brother. I correct her, feeling the weight of 45 years of accumulated disappointment pressing against my chest. The same brother who sabotaged my business by spreading rumors, who you always said had real ambition, while I was just playing entrepreneur. Through the window of my office, I can see the manicured lawns of my estate stretching toward the horizon. The guest house where my parents have been living for the past 5 months sits at the far edge, small but comfortable, nothing like their former mansion. Nothing like the life they've lost. Sometimes I wonder who I've become. The girl who once desperately sought her parents' approval now watches coolly as they scramble to save the son who betrayed them. The woman who built a multi-billion-dollar company now uses that power to orchestrate her brother's downfall. Yet, as I stand here, surrounded by the trappings of success they never believed I could achieve, I feel strangely hollow. This meticulously planned revenge should taste sweeter. Thomas's words from this morning echo in my mind. Are you sure this is what you really want, Eleanor? Will it heal what's broken? I don't know. But after 15 years of silence, after a lifetime of being the daughter they never wanted, I'm finally being heard. Through the doorway, I see reporters gathering, cameras flashing. Miss Clark, they call out, any comment on your brother's fraud scandal? I smooth down my Armani suit, the kind mother always dreamed of wearing, and prepared to face the press. The final act of my revenge is about to begin. But first, I glance back at my parents, diminished, aging, frightened. For a fleeting moment, I see past their facade to the flawed, broken people underneath. And I wonder, when this is all over, who will I be? Flashback the wedding day. The wooden pews of St. Mary's Church felt hard beneath me 15 years ago. I'd chosen a simple cream dress, nothing extravagant. Thomas squeezed my hand as we waited, both of us stealing glances at the back of the church. They're not coming, are they? Thomas whispered, his voice gentle but firm. I shook my head, fighting back tears that threatened to ruin my drugstore mascara. I'd invited them, of course. How could I not? Despite everything, they were still my parents. The invitation had been met with silence, then a terse phone call from Mother. A small church wedding? What will people think? Yet some foolish part of me had hoped they might appear at the last minute. That father might walk me down the aisle. That mother might dab at her eyes with a delicate handkerchief. The minister is ready for you, Carol whispered, squeezing my shoulder. My best friend since college, the only person besides Thomas who truly saw me. As we walked down the aisle, I noticed two figures slip into the back pew. My parents had come after all. Relief washed over me, quickly followed by a different emotion as I took in their expressions. They sat stiffly, faces carefully arranged in neutral masks. They hadn't come to celebrate. They'd come to observe, to judge. Just 2 months earlier, Michael had gotten married in a $300,000 ceremony at the Plaza Hotel. Mother wore Valentino and cried perfect tears while father gave a speech about legacy and pride. I stood in the back wearing the bridesmaid dress they'd chosen, watching them beam at their golden child. The contrast couldn't have been starker. My wedding took exactly 35 minutes. When Thomas and I exchanged our simple gold bands, all we could afford on our combined salaries, I glanced back at my parents. They were already preparing to leave, checking watches, gathering coats. They didn't attend the small reception at our friend's restaurant. When I checked my phone later that night, there were 3 messages, all from Mother. This is embarrassing, Eleanor. A church wedding with no proper reception? What will people think? Your father is devastated. We raised you better than this. Michael says Thomas will never amount to anything in that line of work. I remember standing in our kitchen, surrounded by takeout containers from the Chinese place downstairs, our wedding feast. Thomas found me there, tears streaming down my face. Remember that consulting business we talked about? He said, opening his laptop. The one for helping companies streamline their IT infrastructure? I wiped my eyes. The one nobody wants to fund? Screw funding, he started typing. We have our brains. We have our experience. Let's build something they can't ignore. That night, we worked until dawn, sketching out business plans on paper napkins. Every rejection, every snide comment, every disappointed look from my parents, we transformed into determination. I was 40 years old, starting over after a career as a corporate IT specialist. Thomas was 42, leaving behind the security of his programming job. Most people would call us crazy. My parents certainly did. You're throwing away good careers for some pipe dream, Father had said when I told him our plans. At your age, you should be planning for retirement, not taking risks. But we had nothing to lose except the weight of their expectations. Flashback at the formative years. I was 7 years old the first time I realized I would never be enough for my parents. Michael had just won the school spelling bee, and Mother had thrown a party complete with a banner and a special cake. When my turn came the following year and I also won, there was only a distracted, "That's nice, dear," as they focused on Michael's science fair project. It was the beginning of a pattern. Michael's achievements were celebrated, mine acknowledged. Michael's dreams were invested in, mine tolerated. It wasn't that they didn't love me, in their way. I believe they did. But Michael was the firstborn son, the one who would carry on the family name, the one who fit their idea of success. Father had been a moderately successful insurance salesman, always striving for a status he couldn't quite reach. Mother had been a high school teacher, obsessed with appearances and what her colleagues thought. Both of them had transferred their unfulfilled ambitions onto Michael, the handsome, charismatic son who seemed destined for greatness. And me? I was the quiet one, the one who preferred computers to people, who found solace in logic and code when human relationships proved too painful to navigate. Eleanor lives in her own world. Mother would tell her friends, a slight edge to her voice. She's not a people person like Michael. I grew up watching Michael charm his way through life, leveraging his good looks and social skills while I worked twice as hard for half the recognition. He went to Harvard on our parents' dime. I earned a scholarship to Stanford. When I graduated top of my class in computer science, my parents skipped the ceremony because Michael had a networking event. Stanford's fine for a backup school, Father had said when I received my acceptance letter. But it's no Harvard. At least you got a free ride since we're saving the college fund for something more prestigious. The college fund that went to Michael's MBA. The one he used to learn how to create elaborately disguised Ponzi schemes, apparently. At the apartment, the decision, after our wedding, Thomas and I moved into a modest apartment in the suburbs. We converted the second bedroom into our office, working late into the night to build our consulting business while keeping our day jobs. The early days were lean. We lived on ramen and coffee, pouring every spare dollar into our startup. When Google offered to double my salary to stay in my safe programming job, I turned them down. We had bigger dreams. The first investor meeting was terrifying. 5 men in suits looking skeptically at our presentation, at our gray-streaked hair, mentally calculating our age and dismissing us before we'd even begun. But our demo worked perfectly, and by the end, they were fighting to write us checks. That was 10 years ago. Now, at 45, I sit in my glass-walled office overlooking the Los Angeles skyline. Our company, Clark Consulting, is valued at just over $2 billion. Thomas runs operations while I handle strategy and development. We have over 300 employees. I never sought reconciliation with my parents. The occasional Christmas card, the dutiful phone call on birthdays, these were the extent of our relationship. They never visited our offices, never asked about our success except in the most superficial ways. Their focus remained on Michael, the investment advisor with the golden touch, the son who drove a Porsche and belonged to the right clubs. I built my life without them, brick by brick. I found value in what I created, not in what they thought of me. Or so I told myself. The parents' arrival, Carol, my assistant and the same friend who witnessed my wedding, knocks on my door. Her face is unusually serious. "Eleanor, security just called. There are people at the gate." I turn to my monitors, clicking through the security feeds. The camera shows 2 figures I haven't seen in person for nearly 2 years, not since Michael's second wedding. They look smaller somehow, diminished. Mother's designer clothes are wrinkled. Father's normally perfect hair is unkempt. They're saying they're your parents, Carol continues, her voice tight with protective anger. Should I have security remove them? I zoom in on the feed. Mother is crying, mascara running down her cheeks. Father keeps looking over his shoulder like he's being hunted. They look desperate, broken. My finger hovers over the intercom button. Part of me wants to leave them standing there, to let them feel a fraction of what I felt all those years ago. But that would be too easy, too quick. Let them in, I say finally, my voice steady. Have James escort them to the main house. Tell them I'll be there shortly. Carol raises an eyebrow. Are you sure? I stand up, smoothing down my suit. Absolutely. It's time for a family reunion. My phone buzzes. A text from Thomas. I saw who's here. Want me to come home? I type back. No, stay at the office. I've been preparing for this moment for 15 years. Looking out over the city, I allow myself a small smile. They thought a modest church wedding was beneath them. Wait until they see what their disappointment of a daughter has planned for them. The security feed didn't do justice to how badly they had aged. As I walk down the staircase of my home, I barely recognize the two people standing in my foyer. Mother's carefully maintained blonde highlights have given way to gray roots, and father's proud posture has collapsed into a permanent stoop. Eleanor, mother whispers, taking a step forward. You look successful. I keep my distance, gesturing to the living room. Please sit. Would you like something to drink? Water, tea? We have a lovely Darjeeling that costs about what you spent on Michael's wedding cake. They shuffle to the cream-colored sofa, perching awkwardly like birds ready to flee. Father clears his throat. Water would be fine. Carol, I call out. She appears instantly, tablet in hand. Water for my guests, and the Darjeeling for me. Right away, she says, shooting my parents a look that could freeze hell. Your house is beautiful, Mother ventures, her eyes darting around the room. We had no idea you'd done so well for yourself. You would have if you bothered to read any business magazines in the last 5 years. I reply, settling into my favorite armchair and crossing my legs. Or opened any of the Christmas cards we sent, or attended any of the industry events where I gave keynote speeches. Father's face reddens. We've made mistakes, sweetheart. Don't. My voice cuts through the air like a blade. You lost the right to call me that when you told the country club I was finding myself instead of admitting I was building a tech company. Carol returns with the drinks. I take a slow sip of tea, letting the silence stretch uncomfortably. We need help, Mother finally blurts out. Everything's gone. The house, the cars, our savings. Let me guess, I interrupt. Michael's investment scheme finally collapsed. Their shocked faces confirm it. I pull out my phone, scrolling through news alerts. I've been tracking this. Rising star falls. Foster capital under federal investigation, I read aloud. Investors lose millions in suspected pyramid scheme. My favorite is this one. Golden Boy empire built on sand. How did you know? Father asks. I smile. I've had a private investigator tracking Michael's business dealings for years. The moment he started moving money through shell companies in the Caymans, I knew it was just a matter of time. You've been spying on your own brother? Mother's voice rises with indignation. No, I've been protecting myself from my own brother, I correct her. The same brother who told potential investors not to waste their money on my quaint little startup 5 years ago. A memory surfaces, their voices carrying through the country club's dining room 3 years ago. Michael's going to revolutionize Wall Street. Oh, Eleanor? She's just playing with computers, like a hobby, really. We have nowhere else to go, Father admits, his voice breaking. Your brother, he convinced us to invest everything. Our retirement, our equity. And now you're here, I finish. Hoping your disappointment of a daughter might help. Mother starts crying. Perfectly timed tears, just like at Michael's wedding. We're family, Eleanor, despite everything. Family, I stand up, walking to the floor to ceiling windows. Funny how that word only matters when you need something from me. The arrangement, please, father begs. Just until we can get back on our feet. We can stay anywhere. A spare room, even a garage. I turned back to them, my expression carefully neutral. Actually, I do have a proposition for you. Not exactly cash, but an arrangement. Hope flickers across their faces. Poor, desperate fools. We have a guest house, I continue. It's comfortable. Nothing like your old mansion, but it has the basics. You can stay there for 6 months. Oh, thank God, mother breathes. But there are conditions. I sit back down, leaning forward. Non-negotiable ones. Anything, father promises quickly. I catch Carol's eye, and she begins typing on her tablet. First, you'll earn your keep. There are daily chores, maintenance tasks. You'll work for your room and board. Mother's mouth falls open, but I continue before she can object. Second, no contact with Michael at all. If I find out you've spoken to him, you're out immediately. But he's your brother, mother starts. Third, I speak over her. We'll have weekly family dinners here in the main house. And during these dinners, you'll listen. Really listen to everything you've missed in the last 15 years. Father's face has gone pale. What do you mean, listen? I smile, the same cold smile I've perfected in countless boardroom negotiations. Oh, I have so many stories to tell, starting with a church wedding you couldn't be bothered to attend properly. The silence stretches between us like a chasm. Finally, mother nods, defeated. We'll do it. Excellent, I stand up. Carol will show you to the guest house. Your first dinner is tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. Don't be late. As they follow Carol out, I hear mother whisper, Richard, what choice do we have? None, I think, watching them shuffle across my manicured lawn. That's exactly the point. Flashback, the turning point. When Thomas was hospitalized with pneumonia during our startup's second year, I called my parents for help. We couldn't afford good healthcare yet, and the bills were mounting. We're stretched thin, mother had said, with Michael's wedding planning. I remember sitting in the hospital corridor, phone clutched in my trembling hand, as she explained why they couldn't possibly spare $30,000 for Thomas's treatment while they were spending $300,000 on Michael's wedding. It's already booked, Eleanor. What do you expect us to do? Cancel the plaza? In that moment, something inside me broke. Or perhaps something hardened. I hung up without another word and called everyone I knew, borrowing smaller amounts from multiple friends. Carol gave us her entire savings. Thomas's brother mortgaged his house. Thomas recovered, slowly, painfully. And I made a promise to myself. I would succeed so spectacularly that one day, they would have to come to me. And when that day came, I would remember everything. The family dinners, at precisely 7 p.m., my parents stand awkwardly in my dining room, wearing the clothes they arrived in yesterday. Mother keeps fidgeting with her wrinkled silk blouse, while father stares at the elaborate place settings. You'll be serving tonight, I announce, settling into my chair at the head of the table. The kitchen staff has prepared everything. You just need to bring it out. Serving? Mother's voice cracks. Like waiters? Exactly like waiters, I smile. The dishes are labeled. First course is the soup. They exchange glances before father shuffles toward the kitchen. I hear a muffled argument. Then they emerge carrying bowls of butternut squash soup. Their hands shake as they set them down. Do you remember my graduation dinner? I ask, stirring my soup. The one you skipped because Michael had a networking event? Mother nearly drops the bread basket. Eleanor, that was. I just finished top of my class in computer science. Full honors. 3 job offers already lined up. I take a sip. The soup's getting cold. You should sit. They sink into their chairs, looking lost without their usual airs of superiority. I went to that dinner alone, I continue. Sat at Olive Garden by myself, wearing my graduation robe, while other families celebrated around me. The wound is old, but it still throbs when touched. I was 32 years old, accomplished and proud, sitting alone in a chain restaurant while at the same time, across town, my parents were attending a cocktail mixer for Michael's business connections. The waitress felt so bad, she gave me free dessert. We sent the card, father mutters, with a $50 check. The same week you bought Michael a BMW for landing his first internship. I set down my spoon. Main course now, please. The salmon, the revelation. As they serve the fish, I pull out my phone, showing them a news alert. Look what just hit the wire. Federal investigators expand probe into foster capital fraud. Michael's really outdone himself this time. He made some mistakes. Mother defends weakly. Mistakes? Stealing millions? Destroying people's life savings? Your retirement? I cut into my salmon. Tell me, did he mean to convince you to remortgage your house to invest in his guaranteed return scheme? Father's face crumples. We trusted him. Like you trusted that I was making a mistake marrying Thomas? How's that judgment working out for you? A notification pings on my phone. Security alert. I pull up the camera feed to see a familiar figure lurking near the back gate. Speaking of poor decisions, I murmur, your golden boy is trespassing on my property right now. Their heads snap up. Michael is here? Don't worry. Security will handle it. I type a quick message to my head of security. I'm curious. Did you tell him where you were staying? He called earlier, Mother admits. We just said we were safe, that's all. Strike one, I say coldly. Remember our agreement? No contact with Michael. He's desperate, Mother bursts out. The FBI froze his accounts. His wife left him. He's sleeping in his car. Sounds like a him problem. I stand up, walking to the window, watching security escort my brother off the property. Through the glass, I see his face, not the confident mask he usually wears, but desperate, angry. For a moment, I see the little boy who used to pull my hair and steal my toys, the teenager who took credit for my science project, the man who has spent his life taking the easy path while I fought for every inch. There's no satisfaction seeing him like this. Only a hollow feeling that surprises me. The turning point, after a month of weekly dinners, my parents have settled into a routine. They work in my gardens during the day, serve my meals in the evening, and listen to my stories. Stories of struggle, of determination, of success achieved despite their neglect. I watch them age before my eyes, their shoulders drooping further with each revelation. Each dinner peels away another layer of their denial, forces them to confront another harsh truth. Remember when Thomas got sick? I asked during our 5th dinner. During our startup's 2nd year, he worked himself into pneumonia, but we couldn't afford good healthcare yet. Mother's hand trembles as she sets down her fork. We all make mistakes, Eleanor. I called you, I continue, asked to borrow $30,000 for his treatment. You said you were stretched thin from Michael's wedding planning. We didn't realize, Father starts, that he might die. My voice could freeze hell. That your daughter's husband was in critical condition while you were picking out $1,000 centerpieces? What do you want from us? Mother bursts out. We've apologized. We're literally serving you dinner in our gardening clothes. How much more humiliation do you want? I lean forward. Humiliation? You want to talk about humiliation? Let's talk about my church wedding. The one you told everyone was a youthful mistake. The one where you said Thomas would never amount to anything. We were wrong, Father admits. Obviously wrong. Look at all you've built together. No. I stand up, walking to the window. You don't get to admire what we built. You don't get to claim any part of our success. You get to serve dinner and listen. That's our deal. A car pulls up to the gate. A familiar luxury sedan. I smile. Right on schedule. Speaking of deals, I turn back to them. Look who's arrived. Your golden boy himself. They rush to the window, watching Michael argue with security through the intercom. Please, Mother begs. Let him in. He's desperate. Desperate people make desperate choices, I muse. Like convincing their parents to invest their retirement in a Ponzi scheme. Father's face crumples. We trusted him. Yes, you did. Blindly, completely, destructively. I press the intercom. Security, please remind Mr. Foster that he's trespassing. If he doesn't leave immediately, call the police. You can't do this, Mother protests. He's family. Family? I laugh. That word keeps coming up. Tell me, where was family when you chose his networking events over my achievements? Where was family when you watched me struggle while funding his excesses? Through the window, we watch Michael's car speed away, gravel spraying behind him. Sit down, I order. Dinner isn't over. Tonight's final story is about the day I made my first million. The day I bought this house. The day I finally understood that your approval meant nothing compared to what I'd built without you. They sink back into their chairs, defeated. In the distance, police sirens wail, probably heading for Michael's last known location. Now then, I smile, raising my glass. Who's ready for dessert? I believe humble pie is on the menu again. The setting sun casts long shadows across their faces, painting a portrait of karma served cold, one course at a time. The unexpected ally. Your brother's ex-wife is here to see you, Carol announces, standing in my office doorway. She says it's urgent. I look up from my laptop, surprised. Rebecca hasn't contacted me since her divorce from Michael 3 years ago. Send her in. She enters wearing designer clothes that look slightly worn, her perfect manicure chipped at the edges. The fall from grace had clearly begun before the public scandal. Eleanor, she says, taking the seat I offer. You look successful. Amazing what hard work and ethical business practices can do, I reply. What brings you here, Rebecca? She pulls out her phone, hands shaking slightly. Michael sent me this last night. I thought you should see it. The text message reads, Tell Dad to take the fall. FBI doesn't have enough on me yet. He can claim he masterminded everything. His age will get him a lighter sentence. Wow, I say softly. Throwing your own father under the bus. That's low, even for him. He's spiraling, Rebecca confirms. Called me crying at 3 a.m., talking about fleeing to Mexico. I thought you should know what he's planning. I study her carefully. Why are you really here, Rebecca? Last I checked, you were firmly Team Michael during the divorce. She laughs bitterly. Team Michael? He asked me to lie to investors, forge documents. When I refused, he threatened to ruin me. Said no one would believe the trophy wife over the golden boy of Wall Street. And now I want justice. She leans forward. I have recordings, Eleanor. Phone calls, meetings, everything. I started documenting when things felt wrong, but I was too scared to come forward. I pressed the intercom. Carol, get Thomas in here and call David. Within minutes, my husband and our private investigator join us. Thomas's eyes widen when he sees Rebecca. Well, this is unexpected, he says, taking the seat beside me. Show them, I tell Rebecca. She plays the recordings. Michael's voice fills the room, bragging about dummy corporations, laughing about fooling investors, planning to blame others when it all fell apart. With each recording, my parents' chances of claiming ignorance grow stronger. This is exactly what we need, David says, taking notes. Combined with the financial records we've been tracking, this proves premeditation. You've been tracking him? Rebecca looks at me sharply. I've been collecting evidence for years, I admit, waiting for the right moment. God, she whispers. You're even more strategic than he is. Difference is, I use my powers for good, I smile. Usually. My phone buzzes. A text from the security gate. Speaking of strategy, our parents are requesting an urgent meeting. Apparently, Michael has been calling them nonstop. Perfect timing, Thomas says. Should we show them what their precious son is planning? I stand up, straightening my jacket. Better idea. Let's have a full family reunion. Rebecca, are you up for a confrontation? She squares her shoulders. After what he put me through? Absolutely. The final confrontation. 20 minutes later, my parents sit nervously at the dining table while Rebecca waits in the study. They jump when Carol enters. He's here, she announces. I take my position at the head of the table. Showtime. Michael bursts in looking disheveled in his wrinkled suit. Mom, Dad, we need to move fast. I have a plan. He freezes when he sees me. Hello, brother, I say calmly. Please join us. We were just discussing family loyalty. What is this? He demands, looking at our parents. Sit down, Michael, I order. You'll want to be sitting for what comes next. I'm not playing your games, Eleanor, he spits. Mom, Dad, we need to go now. They're not going anywhere, I say. But someone else is joining us. On cue, Rebecca walks in. The color drains from Michael's face. Remember those late night phone calls? She asks sweetly. The ones where you planned to blame your father? I recorded them all. Michael lunges for the door, but security blocks his path. Now then, I smile, pressing the intercom. Carol, please tell our friends from the sect they can come in. I believe my brother has a confession to make. The look of betrayal on Michael's face was almost worth the decade of pain he'd caused. Almost. You set me up, he whispers. No, dear brother, I correct him. You set yourself up. I just made sure everyone could see it. The sect agents enter as our parents watch in horror, finally understanding the full scope of their golden child's deception. Justice, I think, watching them lead my brother away, tastes better than revenge. The aftermath. You can't do this. Michael struggles against the agent's grip. Mom, Dad, tell them. Tell them I was doing this for the family. Mother sits frozen, mascara running down her face. Father stares at his hands, unable to meet anyone's eyes. Mr. and Mrs. Foster, the lead sec agent says, we'll need your statements about your involvement in your son's investment scheme. I stand up, smoothing my skirt. Actually, I have something that might help clarify their role. I nod to Carol, who brings in a thick folder. Financial records showing my parents were victims, not accomplices. Bank statements proving they invested their retirement based on fraudulent information. Eleanor, what are you doing? Michael hisses. Saving them from you, I reply calmly. One last time, the sec agent flips through the documents. This is very thorough. It clearly shows they were misled about the nature of the investments. You can't trust her. Michael shouts. She's been plotting this for years. Plotting what? I ask innocently. To preserve evidence of your crimes? To protect our parents from your schemes? Yes, guilty as charged. Rebecca steps forward, holding up her phone. I have the recordings ready, Agent Roberts, including the ones where Michael explicitly discusses hiding information from his parents. Mother finally finds her voice. You were going to blame your father? Your own father? I had no choice. Michael's composure cracks. The investments went bad. People were asking questions. Dad's name was on some of the paperwork. Paperwork you forged, Rebecca cuts in. Just like you forged my signature on those offshore accounts. As they lead Michael away, he thrashes against their grip, his perfectly tailored suit now wrinkled and damp with sweat. You'll regret this, Eleanor, he shouts. You think you're so perfect with your tech empire and your revenge. You're nothing but a bitter middle-aged woman playing businesswoman. I walk up to him slowly, maintaining eye contact. No, Michael. I'm the woman who beat you at your own game. The difference is I did it legally. Everything I built is real. Everything you built was a lie. After they take him away, silence falls over the dining room. Mother's quiet sobs are the only sound. Why? Father finally asks. Why did you protect us after everything we did? Because I'm not like him, I say simply. Or you. I don't destroy family for personal gain, even when they deserve it. We don't deserve your mercy, Mother whispers. No, you don't. I sit back down. But this isn't mercy. This is strategy. You'll spend the rest of your lives knowing that the daughter you dismissed saved you from the son you worship. Rebecca gathers her things. I should go. The sect will need me to make a formal statement. Thank you, I tell her, for being brave enough to come forward. After she leaves, I turn back to my parents. Your 6 months in the guest house isn't over. You'll continue working, continue attending our dinners, but now you'll do it knowing exactly what your choices have cost you. And Michael? Mother asks tremulously. He'll likely serve 15 to 20 years, I reply, unless he makes a deal. But given his performance today, I doubt he'll admit guilt easily. Father stands up shakily. We should have seen it. All those signs. You saw exactly what you wanted to see, I correct him. Just like you saw what you wanted to see in me. A disappointment, a failure, an embarrassment. We were wrong, Mother says. So terribly wrong. Yes, you were. I pressed the intercom. Carol, please escort my parents back to the guest house. They have roses to prune tomorrow. As they shuffle toward the door, I call out, oh, and one more thing. Those documents protecting you from prosecution? They're real, but they can disappear as easily as they appeared. Remember that the next time you're tempted to contact Michael. They nod, broken and humbled, before following Carol out. The riffle Thomas comes in after they leave, wrapping his arms around me. You okay? I lean into his embrace, finally allowing myself to feel the weight of what has just happened. I thought revenge would feel better than this. It's not revenge, he says softly. It's justice with a side of mercy they didn't earn. The mercy is the revenge, I reply. They'll spend the rest of their lives knowing they owe everything to the daughter they rejected. That's a debt they can never repay. Through the window, I watch my parents cross the lawn to their temporary home, their shoulders bent under the weight of their choices. Come on, Thomas says. Let's go home. To the real home where we started. That little house where we dreamed all this up. I smile, remembering those determined days 15 years ago. You still have those paper napkins with our first business plan framed in your office, he grins. Right next to our wedding photo. As we drive through the city to our old neighborhood, memories wash over me. The constant struggle for my parents' approval. The pain of always being second best. The weight of never being enough. Do you remember what you said to me on our wedding night? Thomas asks, reaching for my hand. I nod. I was crying about Mother's messages, and you told me we'd build something they couldn't ignore. And we did, he says simply. But as we pull up to our old house, the modest suburban home we've kept all these years, renovated but unchanged in its essence, I wonder if that was ever really the point. We never had children. I told myself it was because of our careers, the demands of building a company. But sometimes, in quiet moments like this, I wonder if it was fear. Fear that I would somehow replicate the pattern, that I wouldn't know how to love unconditionally when I had never experienced it myself. What are you thinking? Thomas asks as we step onto the porch. I'm thinking about cycles, I reply. About breaking them. Inside, our first home feels warm, lived in despite being our weekend retreat. No marble floors or crystal chandeliers here. Just comfortable furniture, bookshelves crammed with technical manuals and fantasy novels, framed photos of us hiking, traveling, building our life together. Sometimes, I say, sinking onto our old couch, I wonder what it would have been like if they had just loved me, just as I was. Thomas sits beside me, his hand finding mine. They couldn't. They were too broken themselves. And now I've broken them. No, Eleanor. Michael broke them. Their own choices broke them. You just made sure they couldn't keep breaking you. I rest my head on his shoulder, feeling suddenly exhausted. I've spent 15 years planning this revenge. Now it's done. What do I do with all that energy? Build something new, he suggests. Something that has nothing to do with them. That night, in our old bedroom, with city lights filtering through the blinds, I dream not of revenge or justice, but of creation. Of tearing down the guest house on my estate and building something in its place. Something that transforms pain into purpose. The morning after, the morning sun streams through my office windows as I review the final paperwork. My parents' 6-month stay had ended yesterday, and they left quietly, without ceremony or goodbye. Just a simple note. We understand now. Carol knocks on my door. The construction crew is ready for the groundbreaking. Everyone's waiting in the courtyard. I gather my things, including a worn paper napkin in a simple frame. Our original business plan, sketched out in that modest house so long ago. Outside, a crowd has gathered around the cordoned-off area where the guest house used to stand. In its place will rise the Clark Consulting Innovation Lab, a training center for women over 40 interested in technology careers. Thomas waits for me at the podium, grinning. Ready to build something new? Always. I squeeze his hand before turning to address the crowd. 15 years ago, I begin. I was told I was too old for tech, that my dreams were too big, my background too conventional, my ambitions inappropriate for a woman my age. My voice carries across the hushed crowd. Today, we break ground on a center dedicated to proving those doubts wrong. The audience applauds. In the back, I spot Rebecca, who gives me a small wave. After testifying against Michael, she found her voice and a new career in corporate compliance. Success isn't about pedigree or privilege, I continue. It's not about youth or conformity. It's about persistence. Every woman who walks through these doors will learn that lesson. They'll learn that validation doesn't come from family approval or society's expectations. It comes from creating real value in the world. As I lift the ceremonial shovel, my phone buzzes. A text from my mother. Saw the announcement about the innovation lab. Finally understood what you meant about real value. We're sorry. I slipped the phone back into my pocket without responding. Some bridges couldn't be rebuilt and shouldn't be. After the ceremony, Thomas and I walked the grounds, stopping at the spot where the guest house had stood. No regrets about demolishing it? He asks. None, I reply. Best to build something meaningful than preserve a monument to revenge. Carol approaches with a tablet. The press releases are going out, and there's news about Michael. He took a plea deal this morning. Let me guess, turned on all his co-conspirators? She nods. 10 years with possibility of parole. He's also required to make full restitution to his victims, including your parents, Thomas adds quietly. They made their choices, I say, watching the construction crews begin their work. Just like I made mine. Flashback to the defining moment. I was 15 when I first understood that I would never be the child my parents wanted. Mother had found me coding late at night, creating a simple game on our family's first computer. Eleanor, this is not appropriate for a young lady, she'd said, flipping off the monitor. You'll strain your eyes and ruin your complexion sitting in front of this thing all hours. Why can't you take an interest in something more feminine? Michael is the one who needs to understand technology for business. But I enjoy it, I protested. I'm good at it. Being good at something unusual isn't the point. Fitting in is what matters. Who will want to marry a girl obsessed with computers? That night, I'd cried myself to sleep. But the next day, I got up early and continued coding before school. I couldn't articulate it then, but I'd made a choice to pursue what called to me, even if it meant disappointing them. It would take decades before I understood that their disappointment was never really about me at all. It was about their own narrow vision, their own insecurities, their own failed dreams that they tried to live through their children. The new beginning, back in my office, I open my desk drawer and pull out an old photo. My wedding day. Thomas and I, middle-aged but full of hope, standing on those church steps. I place it next to the framed napkin. Miss Clark, Carol's voice comes through the intercom. The first round of applications for the Innovation Lab has arrived. Send them in, I reply, then turn to Thomas. Want to help me find the next tech revolutionaries? He sits beside me, just like that night in our kitchen 15 years ago. Always. As we read through the applications, stories of determination, of dreams bigger than circumstances, I realized something profound. My revenge hadn't just been about making my family suffer. It had been about proving that their values were hollow, that real success comes from creating, not destroying. Look at this one, Thomas points to an application. Reminds me of someone I know. Brilliant ideas, no support system. Family thinks she's having a midlife crisis. I smile, reading the woman's passionate pitch. Schedule an interview and send her a message. Your dreams are not too big. Your ambitions are not inappropriate. And yes, you absolutely belong here. The construction sounds outside grow louder. Destruction and creation happening simultaneously. Perfect symmetry. You know, Thomas says, your parents might see these scholarship stories in the press. They might try to reach out again. They might, I agree. But I'm not that desperate daughter anymore, waiting for their approval. I'm not even that angry woman plotting revenge. I'm just me, building something real. He kisses my forehead. And that's why I married you in that church. I look out at the construction site where the future is literally taking shape. My parents had taught me about power through cruelty. Michael had taught me about success through deception. But I'd learned something better. True power comes from lifting others up, not pushing them down. The sun sets over Los Angeles, painting my empire in shades of gold. Not the false gold of my brother's schemes, but the real gold of innovation, of creation, of genuine value. They thought my church wedding was too humble for their status. They never understood that humility combined with determination builds empires that last. And that's worth more than revenge could ever be. As night falls, I stand at my window, 45 years old, scarred but not broken. Behind me lies a path of pain and triumph. Before me stretches a future I am finally free to shape on my own terms. Sometimes the best revenge isn't destruction. It's rising so high that those who hurt you have to look up to see you. And then, when you've reached that height, realizing that you no longer need them to see you at all.